I just obtained Williams' resignation letter in the last half hour. In the letter, Williams says she is leaving her position as trustee in District B.
So 2023 saw a 500% increase compared to last year. While the answer as to why isn't clear, Clark County District Attorney Steve Wilson says social media is playing a role in driving teen violence.
Here at the Mirage, you may remember this property for its iconic volcano show, and today is its last full day of operations before the property closes.
Rain has stopped now, but drivers are dealing with the aftermath. Take a look. Several stalled vehicles all across Cheyenne. Did you kill those 3 people?
When you have a defendant who wants to testify, what do you usually advise them? How does it feel now that there is a verdict? Investigators found pieces of a cut-up sun hat in his garage.
What was his position?
Robert Tellis was the county public administrator, which a lot of people will be like, well, what is a county public administrator? It is a low-level elected official. Workers here at the Virgin Hotel are actually the last in the culinary union to reach a deal. They've been on strike since 5 a.m. this morning. You can probably hear them demonstrating right behind me. Skating in Henderson, I'm Jaewon Jung. The unofficial start to summer is here, and it's expected to be a busy one, especially here in the Valley. Thanks for joining us this Saturday, live at 4:30. I'm Jaewon Jung. A lot of students don't have their financial aid packages right now. So what is the Department of Education doing to ensure that students are not stuck in this limbo? Right. It was no surprise Robert Tellis took the stand this week. His attorney told us he would, but the surprises came during some fierce cross-examination. Geneva, is there any relief from this heat coming up?
Oh, it is actually the opposite.
I've been closely following the story of the parents accused of killing their own 2-year-old son, Jacoby Robinson Jr. Their names are Deasia Smith and Jacoby Robinson Sr. Lynn, you and I both have dogs. What time do you think is best to walk our dogs?
Like 5 in the morning.
5 in the morning. Yeah, maybe my little latte will just stay at home.
Yes.
For about 12 hours, a jury panel of 5 men and 7 women sat in a room similar size to this one as they deliberated on Robert Tellis's fate. I spoke with the jury foreperson to find out more about what happened behind closed doors.
As it unfolded up, that's when I realized how kind of crazy and high profile it was.
30-year-old Gregory Whitney had never served on a jury before the Robert Tellis trial. He was chosen as the foreperson. What was going through your mind listening to all the witness testimony?
At first, it was a lot to process.
I'm innocent.
Tellis is the former county public administrator found guilty last week of murdering Las Vegas Review-Journal reporter Jeff Gehrman 2 years ago. I had the chance to speak with Whitney about his experience serving as a juror for this case.
It wasn't really up until his narrative. That's when we started, as the jury started noticing a lot of holes.
Do you think that if he didn't get up on the stand, there could have been a possibility of a hung jury?
I feel like it would have been a lot more likely.
Whitney tells me several jurors found concerns with Tellis's own words on the stand.
I knew I didn't do this thing.
Here's how the votes were tallied. Once in the jury deliberation room, jurors took an initial vote. There were 7 guilty, 4 unsure, and 1 not guilty. By the end of day 1, it was 8 guilty and 4 unsure. Day 2, 11 guilty, 1 not guilty. Whitney tells me part of the holdup was because of these pictures, which Tellis's attorney Robert Draskovich showed during closing arguments. And it appeared that the person inside the Yukon Denali had hair. How were you guys able to get over that dispute?
Did have that theory where, well, if you're in the vehicle, you can't be wearing the hat. You're still going to want to hide your head. Maybe it was a hood, because the way the hair just kind of peeked out at the front didn't look like a normal hairline.
With all the evidence that was presented, Whitney says his vote stayed consistent, guilty.
I just couldn't find any plausible evidence that he supported that made his theory of why he thought this was all happening real.
A lot of you asked why the jury took their time before they reached a verdict. Well, Whitney tells me they had to go through more than 400 pieces of evidence, and it was this one that sealed the deal for him.
That was a good final side-by-side that I've been wanting to see.
The jurors made their own side-by-side comparisons with 2 laptops comparing Tellis's walk-from video in Gehrman's news article to surveillance video captured of the suspect in Gehrman's neighborhood.
That really helped for us because a lot of us did notice, at that point, the mannerism and how he held his arms while he walked was very similar, if not identical, to the suspect.
The worst punishment Tellis could have received was life without the possibility of parole. I asked Whitney why the jury opted for life with parole eligibility.
I figured if we could just do with, if he does get out, he has to deserve it and he has to earn it.
Tellis still maintains his innocence even after conviction, but Whitney is confident the jury got it right. Guilty.
I know he believes we got it wrong. There was just too much swaying against him. Started at this conspiracy theory, went down that rabbit hole. We really tried to follow it, but it just ended. And then the only theory we had left was, well, you're the one with motive. We have these texts, we have these videos, we have all this downloaded data. It's too hard to defute for us.
A judge can order more time in prison for Tellis because of enhancements to his charge. The formal sentencing date is October 16th. In Las Vegas, I'm Jaewon Jung. You may remember this story I first brought to you last May, a Summerlin neighbor dispute resulting in a murder. And what provoked the deadly argument? Well, the suspect's wife had told 911 it was indecent exposure, but a surveillance video may reveal no private parts were seen.
He was such an outgoing, very lovable, a wonderful father, a wonderful brother.
I met with Lisa Moreno, who shared her concerns about what happened to her late brother, J.R. Moreno.
They made him seem like such a disgusting person, like it was like not right.
The 47-year-old man was shot and killed back in May, and police say it stemmed from a neighbor dispute in Summerlin.
He starts talking shit, and he starts pulling his dick out in front of all my kids, so my husband shot him.
Last May, we played you this Metro 911 call placed by Reina Moreno, the wife of suspect Eddie Moreno. The suspect and the victim share the same last name but are unrelated.
It kills me inside that somebody could be so cruel.
Lisa told me she never believed Reina's claim JR committed indecent exposure.
He would never expose himself to children. I mean, the way that they were making him seem, he was so disgusting.
Last month, a Clark County grand jury indicted Eddie Moreno for murder. I obtained the evidence reviewed by the grand jury, including surveillance videos of the shooting. Take a look. This video shows Eddie's white van pulling up to their driveway. Then Eddie and JR appear to be arguing.
I'm gonna murder you, bud. You.
In this video, you can hear the argument just before the shooting takes place, while JR appears to stay on his property. About a minute later, Reina exits the van, leaving her children inside, and makes that 911 call. Through it all, the videos don't seem to show JR exposing his private area.
You go after this, buddy?
According to the grand jury transcript, Reina testified she didn't, quote, see his actual genitals. Lisa tells me JR suffered from bipolar disorder but was a kind soul who did not cause harm, and now she wants his character restored.
My brother should still be alive.
In Summerlin, I'm Jaewon Jung.